Hello, dear friends. I welcome you on YouTube channel Alatra TV Middle East. And today we continue taking interviews during the project Creative Society. Amazing worldwide project which unites people all over the world. Not just a project, actually, a new format of living. A living for people who can live safe, comfortable, and happy life. And we will know a little more about it and also about amazing conference which will be held on 24th of July, very soon, important for all the humanity. But a little later about that. My co-host today is Dima. Dima, please introduce our guest.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here with you as well on Alatra TV Middle East. And today with us, we have Carlos Sentis from Spain, from Madrid. And Carlos, how are you today? Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for the invitation. It is a great pleasure to be a part of this initiative. And I'm really happy, really excited about this conversation. Thank you so much for the invitation again.
Great. What do you do for a living? You have so many titles.
Well, I am the founder and CEO of the World Innovation Alliance, which is a private initiative that brings together companies, institutions, and individuals from more than 150 countries to find and apply specific solutions for problems in healthcare, environment, poverty, human rights, and education. I'm also board member of the International Development Board in World Humanitarian Forum. I'm also in the Organization of Young Entrepreneurs of the European Union, and I lecture in more than 10 different universities and business schools in different countries.
Thank you, Carlos. That's an awesome background. I'm so happy that you accepted our invitation to this interview. And actually, I wanted to ask, why did you accept it so easily? What inspires you about Creative Society project so much?
Well, I think it is very important to talk about solutions. I think it is really important to work in multidisciplinary collaboration to actually try to find the best way to move forward in our societies, in our economies, in our political systems. And I'm a big believer in international cooperation. And this is a network that, just like ours, is in many different countries all over the world. And there's so much that we can learn from each other, so much that we can actually accomplish if we learn from each other and if we actually work together.
Perfect. It's a great reason to have this beautiful conversation today.
Absolutely.
And for our viewers, I would like to underline that we continue to talk about Creative Society. And today specifically, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and implementation of this technology in our life and how our future would look like if it's going to work in a good way. So Carlos is related to artificial intelligence, and could you please tell us how do you use it in your activities, in your work, in your job, and international organizations?
Well, the first thing is that artificial intelligence is embedded in every single thing that we do. Everything is digital, and there's always an underlying layer of artificial intelligence that is feeding our decisions, that is helping us to be more productive, that is helping us solve problems, and sometimes that has obviously some negative consequences as well. So artificial intelligence is everywhere in our lives, and we are really big advocates of the importance of using technology to create solutions for a better world, of the importance of advocating for an ethical use of AI. And also, we see that there's a huge gap between the available technology and the one that we use in our different sectors and in different jobs. And it is important to leverage the technology that we have instead of always thinking about what is the new technology that we need to create. We also see that we have to do a lot of work to utilize the technology that is available, to see what are the potential uses of it, but also spend a big time and a big effort trying to understand what are the negative consequences that it can have, what are the risks, how to assess those risks, how to prepare for those risks, how to avoid problems. So we are using technology constantly in our lives and in our company as well. But the most important thing that I would say is more that what we are doing is not using AI to run our operations, but more thinking about what is the best way for governments and companies to use AI in a way that is positive to benefit society and citizens.
Could you please tell us, maybe for the viewers who are not very related to artificial intelligence, how do we use it on a daily basis in our life? Because sometimes people don't realize the scale of this usage.
Well, there's artificial intelligence in translation tools, for example. So when you're using Google Translate, there's AI there. There's AI in the filters that you use in your camera or in your Snapchat or Instagram. There's AI in everything that you consume. Most of the tools that you're using in order to consume information or to learn, in many cases, is fed by AI and recommendation systems. It is everywhere. It's the recommendation algorithm that helps you buy the product that you're looking for. It is the recommendation tool that allows you to find the content that you're likely to be more interested in. It is everywhere. And when I say everywhere, is just think about everything that has some level of technology in your life. Well, there's probably AI there as well. For example, when you're looking for the optimal path from one place to another, well, that is what Google Maps does and what other applications do, and what companies that are working on transportation are using. That is also fed by algorithms. Everything is fed by big data that is analyzed, and then that allows the humans to understand patterns and to see what are the optimal ways to do things and what are the possibilities that can bring us. There's so much more. It's basically in every single application that we have.
The development of IE is actually booming at the moment. And why do you think this growth is so rapid at the moment?
Well, there are a lot of reasons why we have more innovation and more growth and faster than ever in technology and in AI. I think it is all very connected. First of all, there's more people in the world that is more educated. There's more entrepreneurs in the world. There's more than 1.2 million tech entrepreneurs that are working in new applications every year. You have more than 3.5 million applications in the Play Store in Google. You have these convergence of new technologies that are building on top of each other, and you have more computational power than ever. You have the internet that connects us all, but you have also more users than ever that are more connected in social networks and different platforms than ever. So all those things combined with the capacity of connecting faster, the amount of information that is available, the fact that we have more people that are able to code than ever, the fact that there's more capital that is flowing in that direction, the fact that the largest companies in the world and the most valuable right now are the technology companies that are innovating very fast, but also that everybody has understood the importance of innovation, the use of technology, and also the fact that it can generate a lot of revenue. So a lot of people are trying to gravitate towards that. And also the fact that there is open source, that is crowdsourcing, that you have things like GitHub, for example, where you have entire repositories of code that you can use, and things that are now being fed precisely by artificial intelligence that are going to accelerate the process even more. There is a new thing that has just come out that is a model developed by, I think it's OpenAI, that is called GitHub Copilot. So GitHub Copilot allows a person to program with the assistance of an AI that gets all the information, all the coding, all the code that is already in GitHub, which is the most incredible code you can find, except for the one that is now private. And they analyze all that, and so they can predict what you're likely to need to code in order to solve a problem in coding, which is huge because now you can use natural language, which is NLP, natural language processing. You can use natural language to tell the AI what you would like to program. And normally, and I think the rate was something like 60 to 70% of times, the system does exactly what was intended to do without mistakes. There's mistakes still, but just think about that. You are telling with voice or with writing in natural language what you would like to have in code, and it's creating the code for you. Not only that is making people that code faster, but also that in the future, and not very long from now, you're going to be able to code without knowing how to code, which is just democratizing the capacity of building these tools. There's so much more, but the most important thing is that it is indeed accelerating. And I think that we're not aware of the level of transformation that we're going to go through, how it is going to affect our lives in all fields, every sector of our economy, even our political systems are going to be affected. We're just not aware of how profound those changes are going to be, because there is a convergence of dozens of really large emerging technologies that each and every one of them could in itself change our entire world. I give you examples. So AI alone could change the entire world, just like the internet changed it, or computers or smartphones. That transformed the way we live, right? And even our mental health and many, many aspects of our lives. That's one. The rise of new robots, the Internet of Things, we're going to reach 1 trillion devices connected to the internet. And that is just going to change as well the way our cities are laid out, and many more things. You have also drones that are being used for everything. And you have even flying cars that are about to work. For example, Uber has, and Ehang, a Chinese company that is in NASDAQ, already can fly. But also you have autonomous vehicles that are working. And you have now systems that, for example, in robotics and AI, with 5G, you can have surgeries that are done in the distance. And there's just so much more. There's, again, brain-computer interface, private space race. You have 20, everything neuroscience, everything bionics, everything that is using technology and using it with, with our biology. And obviously the implications of genetic editing, all those things are going to change absolutely everything. And I don't think that we're ready. So what we're doing in WIA, and what we think everybody should do, is try to understand better what is already here. What are the things that are already ready for the market? What are the things that are already ready in prototype, and when are they going to get to the market? What are the likely scenarios that are going to come, and what can we do about it? How can we use that to improve our lives? How can we use that to improve the world and solve the biggest problems that we're facing? And I think that if we don't go and do an analysis of every technology separately, the potential implications and connections between them, and the applications in the different sectors, we are going to be absolutely disrupted by a wave of change that we're not going to be able to understand.
Thank you, Carlos. You actually answered even more questions than we had. And that is so interesting. I really see so many advantages for our society, but also more questions. There is a huge discussion about single artificial superintelligence, as we heard, which will have information about everything and everyone in this world, and actually can take control over a society. Now we are living in consumer format of society, where first priority is kind of money, not human life. Which threats do you think society can face if this single artificial superintelligence will take place?
Well, the fact of the matter is that I don't think that we are going to have a single super artificial intelligence, because data is allocated in different silos, right? And there's always going to be not only regulations that are now trying to control that and are going to continue to do their best to control that, but also that you have private companies, you have institutions, you have international organizations that are going to own parts of that super artificial intelligence. So you can think that we do have a matrix where in total there is such a thing, because the combination between Google and Facebook and Apple, plus the information that the government has, plus all the other institutions, and all the tools that we use, and of course the grids in cities, and surveillance systems and IoT. When you put all that together, yes, it is as if it was a super unified artificial intelligence, but the reality is that it is run by a lot of different people, right? And so there's no single actor that has access to all of that, at least for now, unless suddenly we have a supranational government that is above the United Nations and above all the governments, and that they have access to all of that because they are, authoritarian. That could happen, but that is not what we have right now as a system. And the European Union is going to fight that for sure. The United States government is already fighting that, and we are clearly going to see how society is going to respond very negatively to that. The movements that we have right now for data privacy, you know, and the fact that companies are paying incredible fines and that they are actually changing dramatically their systems, even, you know, the cookie system for advertising. They're changing the way the access that your phone provides to apps is granted. They're changing basically everything, even GDPR and many other regulations that are going to come. Everything is moving towards the resistance from society of the negative effects that that could bring. Now, I'm not saying that we are not actually controlled in many ways by artificial intelligence. There's a problem also of the actual freedom of the individual. And one of the problems that we see as well is that there's not going to be a single space to breathe. There's no privacy whatsoever, right? And that is something really bad, because as much as you can control crime when everything is being watched, you cannot move, you cannot breathe if you don't have freedom. And you cannot have freedom even if you live in a democratic country, if everything that you do is being monitored by so many different organizations. And not only that, you have cybersecurity issues where anyone could breach any of the systems that you're using and get all your information and use it against you. And we're seeing the number of cyber attacks, cyber crime, cyber terrorism, and the cyber war that is being fought in a cold style of war. All those things are really scary. And the fact that everything is going to be connected to the internet, and even that we may have even brain-computer interface systems attached to our brains, and that is also going to be connected to the internet. The fact that our cars and our cities and basically the grids, every system that we have is going to be connected to the internet, that makes us incredibly vulnerable to attacks and malfunctions and failures in, bags and all those things, because a bag now can cause a car to crash, right? And breach in your cybersecurity can have devastating effects for the entire population. You can have a problem in the stock market and there's trillions that can be lost in one day. And I'm not exaggerating at all. And in part is also because of the way this AI works, that because they just have several protocols and they have certain parameters and they just do whatever they see is their intended mission under the specific parameters that were set, but they don't have the capacity of a human being to actually analyze other factors. And the AIs are going to be very dangerous if they're not created properly, if they are used for evil reasons, or if they just have negative effects that we were not intending and we were not able to predict and prevent.
Yeah, exactly. It's good that you mentioned this. I would like to offer to watch a short episode from the TV show that was released on ALLATRA TV International, The Future. This affects everyone, and we're going to continue the conversation.
Because each machine has to work according to its program and so on, and people have to monitor it. For example, those very IT specialists are needed to write these programs and everything else. But as soon as superintelligence enters our lives, everything will change immediately. There will be no need for a human at all. Why? Because superintelligence is a multifunctional machine. It will be able to monitor machines, and in case they break, it will be able to timely activate robots that will repair machines, that will clean, restore, build, and everything else. And it will be controlled by merely one superconsciousness.
Yes, this is what we discussed at the moment. And of course, we are lucky actually that you work in such field of regulation. You could tell us what we have at the moment and how you really fight for our freedoms. But at the end, it's all about big money, right? And it's about $4 trillion at the moment that the whole IT market is evaluated or estimated. And there will be always someone who would like to get this piece of pie, and the business always tends to monopolization. And imagine if all these separate companies, maybe not directly, maybe indirectly, will be controlled by group, or at the end, as it usually happens, by an individual. What is the threat? How do you see our future in this case?
I understand the question, and I have to say that I don't see how one individual can control everything, because when one individual gets too much control, governments get very nervous and governments can shut down an entire company. One thing is that there's decentralized movements and things like that, but you can see the way governments are actually controlling Facebook. And even if they have not been successful at controlling everything, the reality is that Facebook is much more careful, and they actually have limited a lot their plans, basically based on the fact that governments have, for example, decided not to allow them to have their own cryptocurrency, right? So there's I think a lot of risks, and there's a lot of problems that we can talk about. I'm gonna share a few that I see now, but I would say that there's several problems here. One is that you have companies that are run by people that are going to be using AI to inform their decisions, and there's going to be more and more tasks and more decisions that are going to be either informed or executed by AIs. True. Is that bad? Well, they're going to do everything they can to make those decisions the best possible, because it is in their interest to make money of that $4 trillion market or even bigger, because it is legitimate to want to make money, because people have to live and have to eat. And I think it is okay to want to make money. I think the problem is obviously if you're doing things in an ethical way, or if you're doing things in a legal way, or if you're harming people and you don't even know, or if you're harming people you know but you don't care, right? So all those things matter. But again, companies are not going to just throw everything to an AI that is going to control their company, their future, their lives, their money, and they're going to just be helpless with it. We're going to be able to control systems in many ways, because there are ways to actually cap what AI can do. And also AI is not as intelligent as a lot of people think, because there's a lot of things that is not able to do. Now it's growing faster, and it's actually becoming more able to perform more tasks, but still it is very far away from being as capable to run everything the way humans do right now, right? I don't think that we are in that point right now. Now, regarding problems that we can have, well, the problems, I think that the best way to see that is looking at any movie that we have of dystopian future, reading any dystopian future novel. It is easy to understand that we obviously can have a war between robots and humans, right? That could be possible, and I don't think that is impossible. I am an optimist, and I think that we will be able to manage, and that we are going to build robots based on the idea that could happen, and how can we prevent it at all costs. But it is possible, and I think that we may have problems in our job market, and I think that is one of the biggest issues. It is estimated that 50% of jobs are going to change due to technological disruption. That does not mean that it's going to be destroyed. It's going to be changed and transformed. There's going to be a lot of new jobs that don't exist right now. Now, are we going to be able to catch up with technology and be able to have a job for every person that has lost it right away with the skills they have in the market that we're going to go through? Understanding the level of sophistication that those new jobs are going to require, and how basic in terms of skill set are some of the jobs that are being performed by humans now. Well, that is a problem. And that's precisely one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. We're working very hard to teach people how to adapt to new changes, how to have the new skills that are going to be demanded by the market. And if the entire world revolves around technology, and we, for example, learn how to code in schools, and we understand how it works and how to control all the negative effects, then we have a much better chance to ensure future jobs and also to control the negative effects that technology can have. I think there's so much more. We can talk about the mental health effects of social networks, for example. I have been writing about it for 10 years. We have been seeing many effects that were likely to happen and that are starting to happen when you have such a big level of information controlled in a digital manner, right? That is under our servers or in our computers, in our phones. When there's breaches or when they're compromised and there's an evil actor, the consequences can be catastrophic. So we can talk about anyone. So can we have drones that throw bombs? Yes. Can we have kamikaze drones? Yes. Can we have biological weapons? Yes. Can we have cyber terrorism, bioterrorism? Absolutely. Can we shut down the electricity of a city? Yes. Can we hack the stock market? Yes. I could go on and on. Everything that could go wrong, if there's technology, it could go wrong. Because when you have humans in an analogical manner, we have a limitation because time and space and our own capacity and our own mortality, it is all the boundaries that we live our lives within. But technology makes everything scalable. Technology makes everything ubiquitous, and you can connect an unlimited number of people, an unlimited number of information. You can do an unlimited number of tasks. And when you have quantum computing, then and you have machine learning and deep learning, you're able to even learn faster any of the things that you have not even been able to train your AI with. So more computing power, learning faster, learning alone, and with no limits whatsoever, no space limits, no time limits. So the consequence can be catastrophic. You can literally infect 1 billion devices in one day. So, and what happens when you infect a device is that you can delete all the information, for example, or you can steal information, or you can cause all kinds of confusions. You have deep fakes, both of video and audio. You have an unlimited amount of problems that can happen. And I think that the excitement and optimism of what technology can do for a better world, which is crazy in healthcare and education in every single field, cannot prevent us from looking at what are the actual legitimate concerns of society and legitimate concerns of people and legislators and basically even media that are criticizing or are trying to stretch and play devil's advocate to really try to get to the bottom of what can go wrong. So we try to prevent it, and we exert pressure and we lobby from all directions to all directions with this dialogue that we have in society to actually control the negative effects that we can have.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for showing the whole picture and actually listing real threats which humanity can face. And speaking about those algorithms which can, if some error happens in intelligence, it can cause some dramatic changes in the world, maybe even some destroying and so on. For example, there was a situation on post-Soviet territory when there was a person who was in charge of a button to activate atomic bombs if somebody is targeting Soviet Union territory with the bombs. And there was a situation from our history when the person saw on the screen 5 bombs coming to the territory. And the algorithm was very simple. If you see them, you activate the button and half of the world gets into atomic war. And those person made a decision that it cannot be real. And just taking that responsibility on himself, he didn't activate bombs. And yes, that was an error in the system. And now listening to you, I reminded that situation because if artificial intelligence was controlling that system, war would start because there is no option. It can be a mistake for artificial intelligence.
I understand. And there is a huge risk. The more power we give to these systems, and the more autonomous they are, the more, the bigger the problems we could experience, right? But there's a couple of things here. The algorithms that are being created right now take into account an incredible amount of factors, and they are preparing those, calculations to prevent human loss, to prevent pollution, to optimize resources, to avoid conflict. And those factors are parameters that are already inside of those algorithms. In fact, there's even a lot of discussion around the biases that are embedded into algorithms, and they are working on that. And there's regulations around how your AI has to be able to recognize equally well the face of a Black person or a white person. So there's a lot of thought into those algorithms, and there's going to be a lot of regulation around those algorithms, which means that, for example, they're having a lot of ethical debates, because they say, okay, if our autonomous car can, is going to crash, and it has to choose between the life of a young person or an old person, or between two people or one person, or if those two people are younger than the other person, those ethical dilemmas are being posed to society, are analyzed by the people that are creating those algorithms, and are analyzed by regulators. Now, there's a lot of people that can build algorithms without no control whatsoever, and that, like you have hackers as well. But the level of sophistication and control that we're going to have in at least the most powerful algorithms, because they have more access to more people, because they already work in whatever technology company that has a big database or large government organization. So the ones that are going to be thrown to the world, that are going to actually affect a lot of people at the same time without other intervention, they're going to be very controlled. Because again, there's Amazon owns most of the servers in the world, right? Amazon Web Services. So you have several companies, for example, Google and Apple, control all the apps, or most of the apps. So the person that has the biggest control of apps is the one that can inflict the biggest harm if something goes wrong, and those are the ones that are the most regulated and the ones that put the most effort into trying to control that. Because you can launch an algorithm or you can launch whatever, but you don't have users. So you can launch an infection, but you have to infect a lot of devices, and it's not so easy. And you need to have a lot of people under you. Now, what happens if the government decides to just, not care about freedoms and human rights, and they just use those systems that they can go and control the entire population? And that's true for sure. And what I was trying to say with the different factors is that the more we discuss about these problems, the more we see what are the ethical dilemmas. And there are impossible dilemmas, just like there are debates between the left and the right, that there are ideological battles that are, even religious battles that are very difficult to figure out between humans. And I think we do share a universal value system. And then there's other values and other ideas and that we discuss on and that we have problems with. But there are some things that we do have an agreement on. I believe it is very important to build from those and try to have those ethical dilemmas, because many times there's no dilemma at all, right? If you're thinking if the car should crash without killing people or killing people, the answer is going to be very obvious. And then when there's ethical dilemmas, is exactly what happened with the pandemic. Should we vaccinate first the elderly or young people? And when the time comes, then there's a decision that has to be made. Sometimes people agree or not with that decision, but in general, we try as a society, as the media, the politicians, companies, we try to make those decisions the best we can. What I mean by this is that it's not the algorithm running alone, is that when we're creating those algorithms, especially the ones that affect the most people, we are taking into account these things. And there are impossible dilemmas that we're going to have to discuss and see if there's, what is the least bad option, right? What is the lesser evil?
Thank you, Carlos. Okay, so we have a list of threats. We have kind of solution in our head, regulations, hard regulations for artificial intelligence. It will work in Europe. It might work in very developed Asian, Arabic, American countries. What about the other part of the world? Can countries cope by themselves with these challenges, or is it very important to unite all mankind to struggle with this? And also, how important to your mind for people individually to take a part in transforming of society, to get ready to these changes?
Absolutely. I think the question answers itself. It is clear that we need to collaborate. We live in a globalized world. We live in a shared space. We absolutely need to cooperate in order to use our best resources, our best ideas, our best knowledge, our best talents to put together everything that we have in order to find the solutions that we need as soon as possible and to implement them in a way that actually can help as many people as possible. I think there's no doubt about the importance of multidisciplinary collaboration between different sectors and different professionals and specialists. We need international cooperation. We need multi-level, intergenerational cooperation. There's so much more that we can attain and achieve if we leverage the diversity that we have and all the different capacities and specializations that we have. And every country has a different situation, but we share a lot. We share our humanity and animality. We share a lot of values. We share our desire for a better life. We share the need of economic systems that work, and we need jobs, and we need to eat. And we all share a lot of these challenges. And the advantage of technology is that allows us to reach more people faster. So something that would have taken a big investment in the past to actually go and help a country that is in an underdeveloped situation, now it's way easier, because even if they don't have internet, in many cases, that some people have it, and there are a lot of devices already in Africa. You can see, for example, that we're going to have more than 3 billion people getting access to the internet very soon, which could be, part of the problem, but it's, I believe, much more part of the solution. It gives them opportunities. It adds trillions of dollars to the global economy. It allows them to provide services and products to people all over the world so they can develop economically. And what I see is that if they have internet, we have a way bigger chance of connecting with them, collaborating with them, and also, very importantly, train them. We need to teach people about these things. We need to teach people about cybersecurity, about digital skills, about all these threats and opportunities and entrepreneurial models, and any skill that can help improving their lives and improving the world as a whole. We really need to train them. The problem is that it would be impossible to have enough teachers in every single village in the world. Fortunately, with the internet and with the devices that we have, we can scale the education. So education is going to be crucial, communication is going to be crucial, and the connections are going to be very important. And all of that is helped by technology. And even the digital divide itself is being reduced. Now, of course, there are clusters of technological innovation that are going to be way ahead. And there's countries that are just so ahead that is ridiculous. If you see what is happening in China in terms of AI, or what's obviously happening in the United States, the level of advancement that they have in comparison to the rest of the world, with Europe, with Latin America, with Africa, is just ridiculous. So there is a divide, and the people that are more digitally capable, more digitized, more adapted to these technologies, more able to use these technologies, they're going to expand dramatically, and it's going to be exponential. So there's going to be huge injustices and huge inequality. But the good thing is that we may be able to eliminate hunger and eliminate poverty, and that even if there's a huge distance between the world richest man and the world poorest man, the basic level of poverty is raising, the general welfare of humanity is improving. We have so many positive indicators, from life expectancy to mortality rates in birth, to illiteracy rate, to just so many different elements, from accidents to the capacity that we have to curing different illnesses. There is a lot to be excited about, grateful for, proud of, and we have to be cautious. But in order to actually solve those problems, the digital divide, all the problems that we've been discussing, we need connection, we need collaboration, we need education, we need a lot of interaction between all parties. And I think that we need to stop playing the political battle, ideological battle, or the self-interest battle in this huge popularity contest that we're living, where the most important thing is your own personal interest, and it's not actually helping society to develop. We have huge problems, and we need to focus on the problems that are affecting the most negatively to the largest amount of people, and apply the solutions that we know exist with all the technology that we have, with all the time that we have, to try to help people develop, to fight health issues, to fight poverty issues, and to actually make things better for people in a meaningful way, instead of having stupid political debates.
100%. I agree with you, Carlos. And just to continue your thought, that we agree on that 100%. Again, underline that, because without unification of people around the world, you cannot fix this alone. There is no any country in the world who can fight all these issues that you listed now alone, because it's a global problem. Especially if you look at the climate, for example, climate doesn't affect one country, it affects all the world at the same time.
Yep.
And for example, we have a powerful tool, which is called artificial intelligence, that can be used already to make our life not even easier, to save lives of people
Absolutely.
around the globe. And as we started our conversation with Creative Society project, I would like to show our viewers the first foundation of Creative Society project. I will read it for them. It is called Human Life, because we believe that this is the most valuable thing that we have in our life. Human life is the highest value. Life of any human has to be protected as one's own. The goal of society is to ensure and guarantee the value of each human's life. There is not and never can there be anything else more valuable than a human's life. If one human is valuable, then all people are valuable. And I think if we keep it in mind all the time, no matter what we do, no matter which position we take, this is gonna change the world. And that's only like the basic, the first one, foundation. It's very easy, isn't it? So if people follow the first foundation, human life, we can avoid all these problems and we can move to implementation of others as well. Right, Olga?
Yeah, exactly. And I want to add a few more words about the Project Creative Society. Guys, our dear viewers, if you watch it now, you watch it, we'll watch it afterwards. I just want to say that this project is for everybody in this world. And all threats we are facing now as a humanity, as whole planet, we need to solve as a humanity, as whole planet. And Creative Society was found out, was created to unite people against all issues we are facing, and also to build a new format of living, creative one, where we can live as one family, respecting each other's life, respecting each other's equality, and building a world where human can totally raise and develop as personality. Join our project, and I will show a small instruction how to do it. You can go to our website, allatraunites.com, and press huge red button, join. Then you need to fulfill small your data, and you can choose one of the options just to support Creative Society format of living, or take active actions to bring it faster into our life. Guys, everybody is important in this project, and that is why we are talking with people to inform whole world that this project's already being built. It's not like something hypothetical, something in future. We are already building it, and it's just a question of time. You will join now or later, but we really need it. And also, we see that world changes dramatically. What Carlos was talking for all this time, we are facing real threats for our lives, and we need to unite in order to solve them. And on 24th of July, we will provide a huge conference called Global Crisis. This already affects everyone. Name speaks by itself. This already affects everyone in this world. And this is just a question of time. Specialists from all over the world, climatologists, IT specialists, and scientists will announce to the whole world what was developed during this investigation and what's the global picture in the world. And also will show a solution of living in creative society. Carlos, I want to thank you for this interview. And one more question from me. What would you tell and wish to all people in the world now on this stage, when we just know about these threats? We kind of face them, but future can be very different. We can build creative society world, or we can live in climatologist disasters, in artificial intelligence threats, and who knows, whatever more. On 24th of July, we will know. What would you wish to all people?
Well, I wish that we are all focused on improving ourselves and improving the world. I think that we need to recognize our own individual responsibility to not only be a part of the solution, but also to actually do our best to become the best we can, right? To become better human beings, better fathers and mothers, better professionals, better citizens, better leaders. We all have a role to play. We all have an influence in the society, and it is absolutely vital that we have a moral compass to towards improving ourselves and being the right person, and knowing, you know, what how big the effect that we can cause in the society is. And secondly, not only improving ourselves, but also improving the world. I think we all have to become a part of this movement, the Improve the World movement, the Creative Society movement, where we understand that there are problems, but there are also ways to solve them, that we can work together, that there are very effective and practical solutions that we can implement, that there are opportunities for us to even work on for-profit social impact, which means that our careers and our entrepreneurial models can be built on solving a problem in a way that we can benefit from it. So improve yourself, improve the world, do your best to live a meaningful life, and let us work together to make things better.
It's a very motivational speech at the end of our conversation. Thank you, Carlos. I'm very pleased and honored to be with you guys today. And at the end, I would like to present a short trailer of upcoming conference that Olga already told you about. And it is really important for everyone to join us for a couple of hours in your Saturday evening, because it might change the whole life in the whole world. Thank you, everyone. Let's watch it.
Thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you, Dima, for making this interview live. And also see you on ALLATRA TV Middle East. Thank you, dear viewers. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Take care.
Modern civilization has reached the point of instability and global crises. The global financial, economic, environmental, anthropological, and climate crises are realities that every person is already facing. But this is only the beginning. The fourth industrial revolution and a threat of mass unemployment. Future without jobs. Causes of the inevitable collapse of the world economy if the consumerist format is preserved. The problem of overpopulation. Rapid depletion of the planet's resources. Global climate change. It's time to understand the reality of world threats. International online conference, Global Crisis. This already affects everyone. Is the event of utmost importance, organized by volunteers from around the world on the platform of ALLATRA International Public Movement. On July 24th, 2021 at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, a live broadcast of the conference will be streamed on thousands of media channels and platforms with simultaneous interpreting into more than 60 languages. The future of humanity, self-destruction, or the development of civilization.